Welcome to Module 6, Developing Learner Capabilities. So, in this module, we're going to explore 8 capabilities. We understand that knowing more things within domains like science and mathematics and English, etc., is really important for our young people. But we also know that as educators, as teachers, we go beyond that and we help our young people develop the capabilities that they need in order to be very productive members of society. So the 8 capabilities we're focusing in on are the following: collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creative thinking, citizenship, character, digital literacy, and intercultural understanding. So we believe that if our students can get better at these things, then they can really be productive members of society. In your workbook, you've got the definitions for each of these aspects here. What I'm going to take you through it now is how do we actually measure these things? How do we help students to see that they can become better collaborators, that they can become better critical thinkers? The way we're going to do that is we're going to use something called a growth ladder. And a growth ladder, it looks very complex on the screen. It isn't really all that complex. But basically what a growth ladder does is it takes one of the capabilities, in this case, citizenship, so local and global citizenship we're talking about up here, and it gives it a learning intention. Sorry. I consider and aim to tackle issues in complex real-world problems based on an understanding of the different values and worldviews of others. So we've got an outcome. That's what we want our students to be able to do. Tackle issues in complex real-world problems based on understanding of other people. So we've got the learning outcome up here. We then have this kind of rubric, or we call it a growth ladder, which describes the different levels from a very low level up to a really high level, what this learning outcome can look like. So if we look down here, and I'm not going to worry too much about the words pre-structural, unistructural, multistructural, relational, and extended abstract just this second. We're going to look at that in a tick. But basically what we're going is from the bottom of the ladder is not really demonstrating that at all, and then up to the top of the ladder, really demonstrating at a high level citizenship. So what we've then done is we've written, and we've done this for each of the 8 capabilities, we've written in the first person a descriptor of what that might look like. So for example, here we've got, I don't yet feel I have a role to play in making the world a better place. That would be what we call pre-structural, the bottom of our ladder. Then we've got, I understand that I have a role to play in tackling issues and real-world problems, up to I bring my own point of view and skills to do my part in solving real-world problems, to I engage with others to tackle real-world problems and take into consideration their differing values and worldviews, up into I step out of my immediate world and aim to tackle global issues. So you can see this ladder is progressively more complex. And so one of the things we can get the students to do is to reflect and say, well, where am I on this ladder? Am I here at a unistructural level? Am I at a multistructural level? Where am I? In the gray boxes, we then have what we call move me on suggestions. And they're simple, possible suggestions. One thing that you could do to help you to move from this level. If you do this one thing here, it'll help you to move up to this next level. So if you think, I don't yet feel I have a role to play in making the world a better place, why don't you, and this is advice to students, consider the idea that if no one acted to make the world a better place, we would never improve our lives. Okay, well, that helps me. It's not the only thing I can do, but it helps me to get up to that next level. So basically what we've got is this growth ladder, which helps students to identify where they are in their learning journey and their growth around one of the capabilities, and gives them some suggestions about how they could improve. Let's briefly look at Solo taxonomy, which is the taxonomy behind the growth ladders. So basically the way we describe the different levels. And again, this page is available in your workbook to read in more detail. But basically what we talk about in the Solo taxonomy, which was postulated by Collis and Biggs in the 80s, is moving from a surface level understanding to a deep level understanding to a conceptual level understanding. So SOLO stands for the structure of observed learning outcomes, and allows students to reflect on, allows you to reflect on things that the students do, and the students to reflect on things they do as well, to understand what level they're kind of performing at. So pre-structural is that the students are not yet able to share any relevant ideas. Unistructural would be, well, they have very basic, a few basic ideas, or they need lots and lots of support and scaffolding to really understand or to demonstrate that learning outcome. Multi-structural is that many ideas are shared independently or with little or no support, but they're not yet able to coherently link the ideas. So they might show aspects of citizenship, but they haven't quite brought everything together yet. Relational is where a range of ideas are shared and the connections, links, and relationships are explained accurately. So this is really what we're looking for. We want all students to be at least relational in their demonstration of the capability. And then extended abstract is actually going almost beyond that learning intention for the capability. So going into a different space, maybe going beyond the narrow circle that's around them and stepping into a different space. Because this is a conceptual framework, it's actually hard to understand. It can be hard to understand just on its own. So what we'll do is we're going to run through the examples from each of the capabilities just to help you more deeply understand how these things work. So let's take collaboration, and we've started off by writing a learning outcome. So I see the value in working with others to achieve common goals. I look for the most effective ways for us to work together and maximize the use of our talents. So remember, SOLO stands for Structure of Observed Learning Outcomes. What we've done here is then we've put into that structure, well, what does this look like at different levels? So if I'm not demonstrating this at all, I might say something like, I don't yet value working collaboratively. That would be pre-structural. So what can I do? Well, I've got some questions here to help to prompt students. So can you identify times when collaboration may be of value? It might help to prompt them to get into this next level, which is in a situation where I am asked to collaborate, I will complete any tasks I'm given. So students are collaborating when they're told to, but they're not really doing it to achieve more, and they're not using the best of their talents and their colleagues' talents. So one of our moving on blocks here might be, when you've completed your tasks, discuss with your team what else needs to be done to achieve goals and identify what you can do. That, if they can consistently do that, it means that they're going to move up to this multi-structural level. So when I am asked to collaborate, I complete tasks and seek to find other areas where I can add value. Again, some more moving on here. Think about ways you can identify complementary strengths in your team by building a strengths profile. That will get you up to here, where you seek out opportunities to collaborate and help my team to identify personal strengths we can tap into to make the team better. So you might start discussing, well, who would be best to lead the team? Who's the most organized person in the team to keep us on track, etc. And then students might go beyond that and explore their role as a leader in collaborative teams and try taking responsibility for the team. So at the extended abstract level, I take opportunities to lead when it is appropriate. So we've written these, and again, they're in your workbook. We've written these for communication, citizenship, character, critical thinking, creative thinking, digital literacy, and intercultural understanding. So what we would love you to do, the challenge, is to choose one of the capabilities as a focus and a split screen learning intention. So you might be working with your maths class or your science class or your English class. Choose one of those capabilities, maybe collaboration or communication or critical thinking, whatever makes sense to you. Share the appropriate growth ladder with students and ask them to self-assess. Discuss what they might do to improve. Then share that strategy and the feedback with a colleague. Well, this is it. This is the end of the course. So this is our final reflection at the end of Module 6. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to go all of the way back to the very, very start, where we started by doing the 3-2-1 bridge, and we're going to do it again. So if you remember, at the start of this course, you were asked to complete the 3-2-1 bridge, 1 metaphor about pedagogy, 2 questions you had about pedagogy, and 3 thoughts you had about pedagogy. Now, having gone through all 6 modules, we'd love you to redo that on this side. Has your metaphor changed? Do you think pedagogy is slightly different to maybe what you thought it was before? Do you have the same 2 questions, or do you have different questions? And do you have 3 thoughts which are different to the 3 thoughts you had at the start? Excuse me. Bridge here, this is a really important part, is once you've completed round 2, it just takes some notes and just to explain, why did your thinking change, or why did your question change, or why did your metaphor change if it did? So this is a really lovely way to round out the course by starting with our perception of pedagogy, by talking about 1 metaphor, 2 questions, and 3 thoughts, and then finalizing our understanding of pedagogy through this course using 1 metaphor, 2 questions, and 3 thoughts. I hope the course was really useful to you. I hope that you got something out of it. It's been my pleasure to share what I do know about learning and pedagogy with you, and I really look forward to hearing back from you to see how you've implemented any of these ideas with your students. Good luck, and thank you, Drew.